Okay, welcome back. I'm now going to continue my 32 and 32 with the Columbus Blue Jackets. And like I always do with all my videos, I like to display the home jersey and the reverse retro. And to be honest, it's kind of like blah. It has the same logo. They have the same colors. Yeah, they have the light blue stripes on the outside, and they have the other one. But aside from that, it doesn't really jump out to me as like, ooh, oh my God, this is fantastic. Whereas their retro from 2021, at least it was red, had their old inaugural logo with the C and the B, and obviously the hockey stick being the J. That to me is kind of interesting. But when I look at something like this, it's just like it doesn't really do anything for me. It's like, okay, you took the exact same logo from your current logo, put it on your reverse retro. Uh, when the whole point of a reverse retro is to have your old logo on it. So I don't know. Again, I don't know how much of an opinion on it, and if I do, it's not very highly. So last season, the Columbus Blue Jackets, they finished with a record of 25 wins, 48 losses, and 9 overtime/shootout losses for 59 points. An absolute dreadful season. And considering they brought in Johnny Hockey over on a major contract, and I'll get into his contract when I look over the roster, I thought this team would be having a step in the right direction, but instead they took more than 2 steps back. It was like several steps backwards. They just could not get anything going. They just looked flat from the very start of the season to the very end. It was very inconsistent. Obviously, injuries do play a factor into teams not being as successful. Obviously, Zach Werenski went down early in the season, so that pretty much tore apart their defense. He's like the quarterback of their defense when it comes to like the power play. So when you lose someone like that, again, when you lose anyone, whether it's to injury, free agency, or trades, it's hard to find someone to step up and be that next guy. So evidently, their season fell apart. They ended up trading away some players at the deadline rather than trying to acquire it. Uh, Last time the Columbus Blue Jackets made the playoffs was in the 2020 bubble. They played the Toronto Maple Leafs and they beat them in 5 games, only to lose to the Tampa Bay Lightning in the actual first round of the playoffs in 5 games as well. So I'll take a look at their roster because they really haven't had any major free agent signings, if any. I'm looking on their thing right now and it says signed, and underneath signed it has nobody. So I'll just get into their free agents and see who's still around and who might still be available or who has re-signed. So I'll go to rosters, edit player, NHL, Columbus Blue Jackets. So I'll start with their goaltending, and they have three. They had 3 goalies by the end of last season, and I will get into said members right now. So obviously their starting goaltender is Elvis Merzlikins. He is signed for 4 more years. Michael Hutchinson, the guy's just kind of bouncing around the league at this point. I mean, he's been with Toronto, Colorado, back to Toronto. He's just kind of floating all over. Whoever needs a goalie, just call up his agent. He'll be there. And then they also have Daniil Tarasov, and he signed for 2 more years. So they should be okay when it comes to their goaltending. And I'll take a look at their rosters. So Kevin Bayworth has signed with the Dallas Stars. Jake Bean has 1 more left to go on his contract, as does Emil Bemstrom. Tim Burney has still yet to sign or be re-signed. Nick Blakenberg, I do apologize, has 1 more left to go on his contract. Adam Boqvist has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Igor Chinekov, his contract did expire this past season, but he has signed a 1 year, $800,000 contract, so he's going to be there for this upcoming season at very minimum. Jake Christensen doesn't say anything about him, so he still might be a free agent. Justin Danforth has 1 more left to go on his deal. Trey Fix-Wolanski, his contract has expired, and again, no news on him, so he could still be out there as well. Liam Foodie's contract has expired, but he did sign a 1 year, $765,000 contract, so he'll be there for this upcoming season. Johnny Gaudreau signed that massive 7 year deal last year at 9.75, so he has 6 more years left to go on his contract now. Eric Gudbranson has 3 more years left to go on his deal. Boone Jenner, the captain, has 3 more years left to go on his deal as well. Kent Johnson has 1 more left to go on his contract. Sean Curley has 2 more years left to go on his contract. Patrick Laine has 3 more years left to go on his deal. Kirill Marchenko has 1 more year left to go on his contract. Hunter McCown has 2 more years left to go on his deal. Matthew Oliver, I believe, is still there. But again, no news on whether he's been re-signed. Lane Pedersen has left Columbus. He is heading to the Edmonton Oilers. Andrew Peake's contract did expire, but I believe he signed a 3-year, $2.75 million contract, so he'll be there for the next 3 seasons at minimum. Eric Robinson is heading into the last year of his contract, as is Jack Roslovic. And Zach Werenski, the defenseman, which I mentioned previously, has 5 more years left to go on his deal at $9.585. So, for the most part, a lot of the same guys are returning, so they don't have a whole lot of. It's not like they have a whole bunch of people leaving the organization. So, again, they should have pretty much the same roster as they finished last season with, minus a player here or there. So, for this upcoming season, the big thing that Columbus did bring in was a coaching change, which I think was necessary, to say the least. They brought in veteran Mike Babcock. So obviously, 3 years ago, he was let go by the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he couldn't really do anything until his contract this past summer had expired. And now that his contract with the Leafs is obviously up, he's now heading to Ohio to coach the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, I'm sure he's learned his lesson because he's had a lot of allegations against him. So maybe he's taken a new approach to this team. I still believe, even though they have a veteran coach and he's won a Stanley Cup, obviously, with Detroit back in 2008, I believe this team is still going to be on the outside looking in when it comes to the playoffs. I just think that there's still a lot of questions, inconsistency when it comes to certain players on the teams. I'm not saying that they're going to finish as bad as they did. They should definitely get more than 20-some-odd wins, which they had just this past regular season. But I could see them maybe getting out of the 8 teams that are in their division. They might finish maybe as high as 6th, but that might be. I mean, between 6th and 8th, I believe, is pretty respectable, considering that Metropolitan, you already have the Hurricanes, Jersey, and the Rangers, which should be lock-ins for like the top 3 spots. Therefore, you're only going to have 1 extra spot for a wild card spot. And just like I talked with the Western Conference, I believe it's probably going to be a split between the 2 divisions, where you're going to get 4 teams out of one and 4 teams out of the other. So if you only have one other team in your division that's going to make a wild card spot, you're looking at maybe potentially the Penguins, the Islanders, and then after that, it'd be hard to think any other team like the Blue Jackets or like Philadelphia could be able to step up their game and get ahead of those other teams respectively in that division. I know I am forgetting another team. They'll probably come to my mind as soon as I've done the video. But yeah, I think it's going to be yet another losing season for the Columbus Blue Jackets this upcoming year. Thank you all for tuning in as always, and until next time, take care.